Now, let's be brutally honest about it. We all want to minimize the amount of plugins that we have installed in our WordPress website so we don't get bogged down by updates and all those kinds of things that go with it. So any way that we can streamline the whole dashboard is going to be a good thing. And that's exactly what we're going to take a look at today. We're going to see how we can create our own custom code to be able to do a multitude of different things. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Now, a very common practice when it comes to working with WordPress is creating custom post types, taxonomies, all those kinds of things. Well, normally we use a plugin like Advanced Custom Fields, Metabox, and so on. But there are times where you just simply want to create something and then move on. This is where an online generator allows us to do exactly that. So this is what we're starting off with. You can see we can go through all these different tabs to totally customize every aspect of this particular custom post type. So starting with the basics, you can give it a name. You can then take a look at the information underneath, which is the code that will be spat out. But we can customize all this. Let's say we jump into post type. You can see we've got a post type key, post type description, singular name, and so on. So let's start off by customizing this and creating something more unique. We'll say we're going to create a listing for properties. So let's start off by adding some info in. We can give it a singular name, and you see it automatically generates the plural, which in this example isn't totally correct, so we'll adjust that, but it's quite nice to have it. If you want to have this as hierarchical, I mean, all these settings are pretty much what you'd expect to see inside something like ACF or Metabox. We'll say this is going to be hierarchical. You can hop into your labels if you want to customize those. Choose what this supports. So we'll say we want the featured image, we want the title and the content. We may also want to use the excerpt. That's pretty cool. If you want to link this to taxonomies, you can do that here. You can set the visibility for where this is going to be shown. And also you can customize the position. You know, there's lots of options. Most of this should be self-explanatory. You want to come into the query, you can publicly query this. You can use custom query variables, enable archives, and so on. So we want to use the publicly queryable and enable archives. If you want to customize the slug, you can do that. You can also enable export and exclude it from search. You can adjust the permalinks should you want to. You can choose the capabilities. So we can set this to be a page or a post. So we'll say this is going to be a post, kind of inherits those capabilities. Do you want this to link into the REST API? Any kind of other options you want, and so on. So now what we have underneath is all of the code that we need. So we've got a couple of options. We can copy this to the clipboard and then insert that into our child themes function PHP file, or use something like code snippets to be able to control it in a sort of different, more controllable way. We can download it as a plugin. We can save this and we can add it to a project. If we've got an account, we can create projects, and you can even customize this with a built-in AI functionality that's part of this tool. But for this example, let's copy this to the clipboard, jump over into my test site, and we're going to come into the snippets section. And I'm using code snippets for this, the free plugin. So if you want to check that out, link in the description. We'll add a new snippet in. We'll call this custom post type properties. We'll just paste this code in for the functions PHP file, make sure that everything is in place, and then all we need to do is choose the option to run this snippet everywhere, or any other option depending upon the type of content that you create. We'll add a description. If you want to add tags in, you can do that. So we'll say CPTs, for example. Save and activate, and the snippet has now been created and activated. And that has now created our new custom post type for properties. If we click to open this up, this will show us the list, and if we go and add a new property, you can see all of the details that we set up as a part of our custom post type are included. Title, content, featured image, and excerpt, and nothing else is included. And now we could use another generator to create the meta fields that we want to associate with this. Now, before we move on, here's a quick message from today's video sponsor, SEO Press. Now, as a paying customer of SEO Press for over 4 years, here are some of the tools and features that make my SEO life effortless. Now, SEO Press Pro helps you harness the power of OpenAI by making it incredibly easy to instantly generate relevant titles and meta descriptions for your posts and pages. You can use them as they are or refine them for perfection for your SEO needs. Now, you stay informed and in control by seamlessly tracking your website's performance by integrating the Google Search Console within your WordPress dashboard. Now, you also want to discover the efficiency of the universal SEO meta box, perfectly integrating with all major WordPress page builders, including the native Gutenberg. And if you're tied to another SEO plugin, there's no worries. SEO Press ensures a swift and smooth migration of your settings to switch over in seconds. Dive into SEO Press today, where powerful SEO becomes elegantly effortless. Now, obviously, I don't want to go to the time and effort and wasting your time showing you how to do all of these step by step. This is more a demo, but let's take a look at some of the other things we can do. We've got options for the WordPress admin generator. We can create a custom login form, dashboard widgets, admin notices, meta box generator. There's a bunch of options. We can even create custom block themes using the query generator, the taxonomy query generator, and so on. And if you want to, there's even more options inside here for the plugin header generator, theme, sidebar generator, and so on. So if you wanted to, you could come in and add a custom image size generator. Like we've seen before, we can just simply go in and customize exactly what we want. Then you can copy it to clipboard, download the PHP, save the snippet, or you can see you've just got the information underneath. There's a bunch of really powerful options included in here, and you can really customize everything using these kinds of tools. Then you don't have plugins to monitor and maintain. Once that code's injected in, pretty much everything should be up and running. There's also a bunch of kind of tutorial stroke pre-built snippets that you can access. So for example, you may want to remove thumbnail support or how to remove screen options tab. You can click. That will then give you a breakdown of how everything works, explaining all the different options. You can see you can copy the code, you can download it, copy it to clipboard, clone it, or you can customize it as well using the AI functionality. But what this tool actually gives you is probably a greater level of control over the code snippets that you may have that are available to you free online. So if you're using a tool like Code Snippets and you've got the Code Snippets cloud and you can share those snippets, they're basically, once they're written, they're written. Whereas with this, you can customize them to get exactly what you want using that kind of foundational tools and the code that is being generated behind the scenes for you, and then use that where you need to, using something like Code Snippets, or like I say, dumping this straight into your functions.php file. But if you do go down that route, please make sure that you have a child theme installed, so every time you update your theme, you don't lose all those customization options. So the tool we're using to do all this is called WPTurbo. There's a free plan and a paid plan. But currently, I am literally just logged in with a totally free account. So everything you're seeing, you can try out for yourself with a free account. So let's take a look at the AI functionality. If you're used to AI, this is all going to be pretty familiar to you. And from what I gather, this is actually using ChatGPT. Now, if you're a ChatGPT paying customer like I am, what you can do is you can come into the settings for this AI, and you can choose the API key, and you can drop your API key inside here for ChatGPT, and then you can access the ChatGPT 4 options, and gives you the kind of like that link between the two. If you don't have that, then you're going to be using currently ChatGPT 3.5. Okay, so now we've seen that basic info. Let's go and try something. So what we need to do now is tell the AI what we want it to do. And then this is going to use ChatGPT, and this is kind of being trained on WordPress. So you're going to get WordPress-centric content. So let's try something really simple. So we'll type in what we want to remove the admin dashboard panels, and we'll say ask WPTurbo. That will then generate the code for us, and you can see this is creating the code in the main window. And then over on the right-hand side, you can see we kind of get the chat. And what this will do is it'll give you an explanation of what it's doing, giving you information about the kinds of functions that are being used. So if you are kind of new to this and you want to learn a little bit about actually what's going on behind the scenes, you can then open this up and take a little look through and see exactly what's going on. So I would suggest if you're new to this, have a little check over this to make sure everything looks good. You'll also notice that underneath, once the code has been generated, we've got a couple more options to refine the code that has been generated from our prompt. So we can check for security issues. So we'll run that. And this will tell you if there are any kind of security issues that you may need to be aware of with the code that's been generated. So you can see this will give you a full breakdown of what it considers to be kind of security issues. You can add comments to the code. You can add hints to the code. You can make the code more readable. Now, there's a lot of options inside here, including the documentation for the code itself. And providing you're happy with everything that this has actually spat out, you can copy this to the clipboard, go in and add a new snippet, paste our code in. We'll remove this duplicate PHP tag at the top, although it doesn't matter to this. Code Snippets is intelligent enough to kind of like know which one's being used. We'll give it a name, and we'll say, for this example, we only want to run this in the admin because it doesn't need to be run on the front end. Again, tags, descriptions, whatever you want. Save changes and activate. And now if we go back and take a look at our dashboard, we can see what this has done. Well, it's got rid of a couple of them, but not all of them. So it hasn't done everything that we want. So this is kind of, one of those things you may have to go back and maybe refine the actual prompt that you're using. So let's do just that. So let's say we want to write a function to remove all the WordPress dashboard homepage panels. So again, we'll ask WPTurbo, and we'll let that create a different code snippet, or hopefully create a different code snippet. Now just take a look at the code. I can see this is not going to remove all of the panels. So let's refine this again. So we'll add a few more commands in. Again, we'll send this over. And now as this is generating, you can see there's a lot more panels have been included in here. So let's copy this, jump back over and paste the code in. And there we go. Those have all now been removed. So if you want to carry on making changes, you can use those options inside the AI. But that's really just a simple, basic example. There's so many more things that you could do. Now this is just scratching the surface of what you can use WPTurbo for. If you want to customize things inside WooCommerce, there's a bunch of options here. There's even options to work with some Elementor options. You can create a plugin or an Elementor widget, which is kind of interesting. So for example, if we open up the Elementor plugin, you can see we've got another generator, at which point we can fill out the information that we want. And then if we want to, we can go and customize this with the AI and tell it exactly what we want it to do and start having a little bit of fun with this. So there's a bunch of options inside here that you could actually use. Now, WPTurbo isn't alone out there in what it's trying to achieve, which is effectively harnessing the power of AI to work alongside WordPress and use it as a code generator. CodeWP is another tool online that does a very similar kind of thing, or at least has a lot of similarities in the AI department. It's trained on WordPress, and the whole point of this is to create WordPress-centric code that you can use then inside your projects. So if you want to take a look at an alternative, take a look at CodeWP. Link to my video is in the description down below. But for me, I think tools like this are kind of interesting. It's interesting to see where things are going when it comes to AI, how that can be leveraged within the WordPress ecosystem, and some of the other things that you can do with this. Now, I really haven't probably done WPTurbo any justice. I just wanted to show you some of the basic things that you can do. I would recommend taking a look at this for yourself and seeing exactly what you can do. You can see I've only used the free version, so you can get stuck in and try exactly what I've done and take it even further and play about with it. But obviously do this safely, only do it on a test site, use some kind of code snippet plugin so you can test things out. Things go wrong, doesn't really matter. Anyway, that's my opinion, but I would love to get your thoughts on this. Drop your comments in the comment section down below. What do you think of AI alongside WordPress? Is it the future? Is it something you're worried about? Let me know in the comment section. As always, all applicable links are in the description. My name is Paul C. This is WPTuts. Until next time, take care.